This is the GBN Luncheon edition of news for today, Friday, July 2nd, 2021. Coming up in the news, Tropical Storm Elsa strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane. The Royal Grenada Police Force and NADMA issue warning bulletins as severe flooding is reported in some areas. In the region, St. Vincent braces for what could be another disaster heading their way. Internationally, last U.S. and NATO forces leave key Afghanistan base, while in sports, 4 athletes from the Grenada Athletics Association qualify for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message. Compliments, Bryden and Miners.
New passion and mango flavor with the rudest ingredients. Taste it, feel it, live it.
Rude boys, what I'm drinking. Rude boys, what I'm drinking. Rude boys, what I'm drinking. Na, na, na.
Distributed by Bryden and Miners, Karani James Boulevard. Call 440-2018.
Good afternoon. With the details, I am Beverly Tellisford. At 8 a.m., Hurricane Elsa was centered at latitude 12.9 north and longitude 59.8 west, about 112 nautical miles northeast of Grenada. The center of the system passed just south of Barbados and continues to support torrential rains, thunder showers, and gusty winds across Barbados and the northern Windward Islands and the Lesser Antilles. Grenada is currently experiencing overcast conditions in light to heavy thunder showers from the effects of the outer rain bands of the system. The system is moving toward the west-northwest at 28 miles per hour with a maximum sustained winds near 75 miles per hour with higher gusts. The minimum central pressure is 29.38 inches. Grenada remains under a tropical storm watch at this time. Let's join the line with NADMA Public Relations Officer Oslin Crosby. Ms. Crosby, can you tell us what's going on the ground? What's the latest?
Good afternoon, Beverly, and thank you so much for having me. Yes, it is becoming very dangerous outside, and what we are encouraging at this time is the people who are at home, please, if you had a planned visit to the town or anywhere else, we ask that you remain at home. The roadways are becoming more and more dangerous. According to the forecast, we are seeing a number of slides, but a lot more flooding along our roadways. And we know that flood waters, and we don't encourage people to pass through or drive through flooded areas. So it means that you would have to plan and use alternative routes to get you to your destinations. What we are asking the motoring and general public to do, stay indoors, try to be safe, because we know that according to the forecast, at 12 that the Met Office will be sharing with the media shortly, we are expecting more rain into the afternoon. We know that with our soils already saturated from rains on Wednesday, we did have a lighter day yesterday, but rain falling since this morning. We have been going about 3 or more hours of consistent rain. It means that our soil will become fully saturated and runoff, and we're already seeing this happening on the mainland. So we are encouraging people, please, use alternative routes to get to your home or your destination. But if you don't need, if it's not an absolute emergency, please stay indoors as much as you possibly can. We have reports of several flooded roadways. River Road now is impassable. The Top Tantine area and Woodlands also in trouble. Montrouge also blocked. We also heard of that bridge between Westerhall and St. David, that block. So if we have to, you're moving, and we were not given instructions to say that it's the end of the day. And I want to make this very clear. No instructions were given on closing the day. But if individual companies wish to make such decisions in the best interest of their workers, remember that would be an internal decision by the management of businesses. But we from NADMA, we are not saying that this is what's happening. We are encouraging you to stay at home. If you are already at home, please stay at home. And if your individual business space, makes that decision to send you home early, we ask that you plan your route properly. Don't drive through flooded waters. Ensure that you are safe, because we're already seeing situations where people have tried or attempting to cross flooded areas. And in one case, we saw that another vehicle had to assist another. Please, that is very, very dangerous. You don't know where you're driving. We encourage that you stay at home, but be very, very vigilant while driving, especially in the areas that we know that are prone to sliding, because we have seen a rockfall coming down in the Brizan area. So it is important that we pay attention, but try to get off the roadways as quickly as possible. We encourage in safety, but in order for us to do so, it's important that we try to stay inside as much as we possibly can, to ensure that we minimize, or we don't have at all any casualties from what's happening now. We cannot control what is happening. What we can do is be prepared so that we remain safe.
Okay, and can you tell me what is the anticipated effect on Carriacou and Petit Martinique, or if there's any word on what's happening over there?
All right, on the sister isle, I have made communication with our colleague of the state. I also spoke to a police officer up on that end. Carriacou have received rain, consistent rain since this morning, since about 7:45, constantly heavy, but no reports of flooding. No reports of flooding yet. Carriacou have also taken a number of remedial actions to ensure that the areas that are prone to slipping, the areas that normally slide, the roads are closed. So that is to ensure that there is no one passing, no motorists passing in that area, if that were to happen, knowing the amount of water that they were forecast to receive. So Carriacou, yes, they're getting a lot of rain as we anticipated, because the northern part of the island were expected to be harder hit than the mainland, or rather the southern part of the mainland. But we know that no one was isolated in this. The entire country is affected by Hurricane Elsa, but Carriacou continues to still holding on. A lot of rain, but no flooding yet. We will check in again with them, and if anything changes, we will share. But so far, Carriacou is definitely weathering Hurricane Elsa well on the northern side of Grenada.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for that update. That was the Public Relations Officer at NADMA, Oslin Crosby.
Thank you, Beverly.
You're welcome. Meanwhile, the Royal Grenada Police Force is notifying the public, and in particular motorists, that several reports of flooding at various areas in St. Andrew and St. George were received due to the inclement weather. As a result of this, drivers are asked to exercise extreme caution when traversing these areas, and where possible, use alternative routes, as the following areas are flooded: River Road, Balthazar Bridge, Grenville Town, and the south of the island and Tempe. A caution notice is also issued for motorists in the Brizan St. George area due to reports of rockfall. GBN team is making a trip across the country and will have more reports in tonight's 7 p.m. newscast. Barbados is presently under hurricane warning, and online with us is a journalist Stetson Babb, who shares with us the present situation over there. Good day, Mr. Babb.
Oh, good day to you. In fact, there has been widespread damage to homes and disruption of utilities as Barbados took an almost direct hit from Category 1 Hurricane Elsa at daybreak. And the director of the Meteorological Services here, Sabu Best, said the center in fact passed just off the southern tip of Barbados with winds of up to 90 miles an hour, according to some reporting. And distressed residents, in fact, from across the island contacted the emergency services and radio stations to report roofs blown off, trees and power lines down, and roads impassable. And in a media briefing at the Emergency Operations Center, the Minister of Home Affairs said that thrill seekers and amateur video bloggers were out before the all clear had been given, and he appealed to those people and others to stay off the road. Mr. Abrams also disclosed that scores of homes have been damaged, but there had been no casualties. The water service has been disrupted as the Barbados Water Authority had discontinued pumping as a precautionary measure ahead of the storm. And as a result of the storm directly, the Light and Power Company disclosed that 3/4 of their customers have lost power, and they warned that restoring electricity would be a lengthy process. And that's the situation in Barbados right now.
All right. Can you tell us what's the anticipation for tonight, late tonight into tomorrow?
Well, the worst of the storm has passed. The storm passed here as a hurricane essentially at daybreak. And within an hour or two, the worst has passed. So right now it's still very, very overcast, and you will still get some gusts of wind and some showers. But the all clear has not yet been given. But we expect that the conditions here will progressively improve throughout the day as the day progresses. So the all clear hasn't yet been given, and people are still, I can see outside my window, I can still see drizzles and showers, and it's extremely overcast. It doesn't look like midday at all in Barbados. As a matter of fact, it looks like just prior to the But the weather will improve progressively and be significant as the day progresses. The worst is past, headed away from us now.
All right. And what sort of work do you see the island needing after the storm? Any major or minor work?
For significant. Over the past week or two, we had what was considered a freak storm in relation to Hurricane Elsa, a relatively, I would say minor, but certainly not nowhere as significant as this. And we had on record 165 houses damaged and some of those destroyed. I expect we will end up with hundreds of homes significantly damaged as a result of this Category 1 hurricane. And there will be significant work to do in repairing and rebuilding those houses over the next several weeks and months. And of course, the Light and Power Company itself said it will take some while to restore all of its customers.
All right. And speaking of the topography of Barbados, it's relatively flat. Do you think that would have led to any of the level of damages in terms of flooding and so?
I'm not aware there's been significant flooding. I don't think there was intense rain. So there may be some flooding, but a lot of damage was wind damage from downed trees, people losing their roofs. There were trees that fell on homes, and like I got a call where a neighbor felt the residents living next door might be trapped in a home. They had a lot of appeals for people losing their roofs and their houses being damaged. I wasn't aware of a lot of flooding at that stage, but certainly a lot of wind. I don't think the topography of the country played a massive role in that. The key factor was the fact that the storm was in what was predicted to be Tropical Storm Elsa. Pardon me as my device stumbles off my desk. Hope you're still with me. The hurricane, Tropical Storm Elsa, was in fact a Category 1 hurricane by the time it arrived in Barbados. It was with winds gusting up to in excess of 90 miles an hour. And the fact that the area of the hurricane passed very, very close to the south of Barbados. As you well know, the strongest winds of any cyclone are in the northern quadrant, the northern section of a system. So that if you are to the south of the system, you can be spared the brunt of the system, but if it's to your south, then you get the strongest winds, and that occurred in this particular case. And not only did it pass to the south, but it passed very, very close to the ice, very, very close to the southern tip of Barbados, and therefore a lot of the strongest winds of Hurricane Elsa would have passed directly over Barbados, but especially the southern and eastern parts of Barbados got a pretty severe hit from the system.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us for that update. That was journalist Stetson Babb updating us from Barbados on Hurricane Elsa affecting the island right now. Now, before we take a break, I'm just going to read this advisory. It is from the Child Protection Authority. It says, please be advised that the office will be closed at midday for today. That is due to the adverse weather conditions being experienced. For emergencies, you're advised to contact the duty officer 533-6690. Services are expected to resume on Monday, July 5th, 2021. Apologies for any inconveniences caused, and they encourage you to keep yourselves and your children safe. And that brought us to the end of the first segment of the news. Compliments, Bryden and Miners.
The northern coastline of Australia is one of the most cyclone-prone areas of the world. Communities in the region are threatened by tropical cyclones every season, with a very real risk to property and life. A tropical cyclone's effects vary depending on its intensity, so it's important you understand the hazards involved and the potential damage a tropical cyclone can cause. The intensity of tropical cyclones is described according to the
Midday today, which means they're already closed due to the inclement weather. St. Vincent braces for what could be another disaster heading their way. We have this and more in today's regional news roundup from the OCM News Network. This segment of the news comes to you compliments Fortune Foods Limited.
based on the maximum wind gusts